Good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the International Press Conference for the Honorable Madame Nicola Beer. She's the Vice President of the European Parliament on her visit to Taiwan in her official capacity in the presence with our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Joseph Wu. 各位女士、各位先生，欢迎来到这个欧洲议会毕尔副议长的记者会。这是由我们外交部的吴部长来一起召开的。那等一下呢，依序我会请他们两位先致辞。那致完词以后，是不是大家会照相？那照相完以后呢，我们就开放接受大家的这个提问。So I would like to first invite the host of this press conference, our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Joseph Wu, to address to the audience. 我们先请外交部吴部长致辞，谢谢。
欧洲议会毕尔副议长、随行的访团成员以及各位媒体朋友，大家午安，大家好。今天很高兴能够和毕尔副议长共同主持这一场记者会。这是欧洲议会的现任副议长第一次以官方身份访问台湾。毕尔副议长这次来访，反映出欧洲和台湾更加强健的关系，也显示理念相近的民主伙伴有能力共同反制威权主义的扩张。台湾位于民主阵营面对威权主义扩张的最前线，自由与民主是我们抵御侵略最重要的资产。俄罗斯侵略乌克兰，震惊各国，不仅对我们长久建立的以规则为基础的国际秩序带来极大的威胁，同时凸显了台湾在新的地缘政治的战略地位。面对中国对台湾不断的威胁，民主国家应该团结起来，相互支持。只有团结合作，我们才能够反制威权主义的胁迫和挑战。其实，毕尔副议长才刚刚抵达台湾，就给我们打了强心针。他说，台湾的民主自由是华人世界的典范，现在是站在台湾身边的时候。欧洲与台湾是民主自由阵营的一家人。昨天他和蔡总统会谈的时候，更提到，只有台湾人民可以决定台湾自己的未来，并且呼吁中国停止威胁、恫吓台湾。台湾很幸运可以有像毕尔副议长这样子了解台湾、支持台湾的好朋友。我相信透过这一次来台访问，毕尔副议长能够更加了解台湾，也了解台湾强化自己在国防、经济各层面实力的决心。我也相信副议长一定能够持续呼吁民主社群共同以行动支持台湾。我们有信心，台欧盟之间能够在各项领域继续深化彼此的连结。The Honorable Nicola Beer, Vice President of the European Parliament, distinguished members of the delegation, friends from the media, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It is my great pleasure to co-host this press conference with Vice President Beer today. This is the first time for an incumbent Vice President of the European Parliament to visit Taiwan in an official capacity. Her visit reflects the ever-thriving relations between Taiwan and Europe, and it underscores how like-minded partners can work together to counter the ever-growing challenges posed by authoritarianism. Both Taiwan and Europe are standing on the front line guarding the expansion of authoritarianism. In the wake of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, it is more important than ever for fellow democracies throughout the world to unite and uphold our shared values to safeguard the rules-based international order. Taiwan is under threat of the Chinese authoritarianism, but with strong support from Europe, we are confident in meeting the challenges. Here in Taiwan, we are highly encouraged by Vice President Beer's show of support. Her statement upon arrival, "Now is the moment to stand firm on the side of Taiwan. We are a family of democracies." And during the meeting with President Tsai, only Taiwan's people can decide Taiwan's future. This big volume. There is no better way to touch the hearts of the Taiwanese people when we face growing threat. And it is wonderful that Taiwan has a great friend like you, Madam Vice President. I'm very confident that with the leadership of Vice President Beer, we can look forward to further deepening of Taiwan-EU relations across a wide range of areas, and Taiwan receiving more support from the European community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Foreign Minister Joseph Wu. Now it's my great privilege to invite the Honorable Nicola Beer, Vice President of European Parliament, to address the audience. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, and warm welcome to you all. I'm really happy that I can be here. So it was a great honor for me to respond to the invitation of my colleagues from the Parliament of Taiwan to come here. And it was a really good visit with very important and I think very friendly, also friendshiply discussions with the members of government and President Tai. I think it was really the right moment to come. With this visit, Europe counters the attempt of China to isolate Taiwan internationally. And this is important, and Europe cares. Europe cares because Taiwan is a lively and stable democracy. I could really see how over all the frontiers of the different parties, of the different people in society, the fact to be a democracy, to having built up from bottom, a democracy with rule of law, citizens' rights, freedom of speech and free election is a project of heart for every Taiwanese. And Europe will stand by this side. As a family, as I already mentioned, as a family of democracies. But it's also clear that the rise of tensions in the region, in the China Sea and also in the Taiwan Strait, has also an impact on Europe. And so we have to act, and we are in consent to use peaceful measures, so we want to resolve problems in peace. But it's also clear that the Taiwanese people have to decide on their own, on their future, and that there cannot be a unilateral change of the status quo. And so to come here these 3 days is a sign also for you that Europe cares and that we want to protect the status quo, which cannot be changed against the will of the Taiwanese people.
Wonderful, thank you. We need definitely translation to Mandarin of these important remarks so we can all understand. 嘉豪。
非常高兴能够来到这边，我也很荣幸的能够应台湾立法院的邀请来到台湾访问。这次访问成果非常的良好，我们有很多很重要但也非常友善的讨论。那讨论对象不乏诸多的政府的官员，还有蔡英文总统，还有其他重要的政界人士。现在这个时间点来到台湾真的非常刚好，因为在这个时间点当中呢，中国也在持续的加强在国际空间对台湾的孤立，但是同时欧洲也非常关心台湾，因为台湾是一个非常稳定而且非常繁荣的民主，在台湾呢有非常多元的政党、多元的人民、法治的社会，还有人权、自由等，还有自由的公平的选举。这就是为什么欧洲支持的台湾的社会，毕竟欧洲跟台湾都是民主的一家人。那同样重要的是，我们欧洲也非常关注这个地区正在高涨的紧张态势，还有台海的态势，这些都影响着欧洲。因此呢，我们必须采取行动，因为我们希望能够用和平的方式来解决问题。但是这个问题要解决，一定要是由台湾人来决定自己的未来，不可以片面的去改变台海的现状。因此，过去这3天我们的访问的行程呢，就是一个讯号，代表着欧洲关心台湾，欧洲也反对违背台湾人用违背台湾意志的一个方式呢，去改变台海现状。
Thank you very much. So before we proceed taking questions from the reporters, allow me also to acknowledge the presence of some very important guests in the delegation and also some VIPs with us at the audience. From the delegations, allow me to first introduce also Madam Catherine Martens. She is the spokesperson of press and communication advisor to Madam Vice President. Thank you very much, Catherine. And also we have 2 reporters also with the delegation. Very welcome to Taiwan. Ladies first, we have Ms. Kathleen Prevail of Repertoire, Correspondent Network, Special Correspondent of European Union. We also have Michael Lee, the special contributor for the Dai Tax Post. Welcome to Taiwan. Also from the other side, very distinguished guest, very important, Ambassador Remus Chen. He is the Director General of the Department of European Affairs here at Ministry of Foreign Affairs. 我们欧洲司陈大使在此。Also very important, Thomas Yugerson. He is the acting head of the European Economic and Trade Office, EETO, here in Taiwan. Good to see you, Thomas. Okay, so before taking to Q&A, I know they are requesting a picture. Okay, 我们现在合照，对不对？大家 so they're having the cameras ready. So how about I invite Ambassador Chen, Thomas, Catherine. Yeah, would that be okay to join them for pictures? And Michael, and the would you like to join as well? Okay, yes, you're welcome. You can just surrounding them and okay, perhaps a little bit. Balance over there. Okay. All right, picture. So as we always do, we do one at the center. And I'll leave up to you whether you want to do a thumbs up for EU and Taiwan. Yeah. 要比个赞吗？来 let's do a thumbs up. Yeah. Yes, that's great. Thank you so much. Yeah, so the camera here at the center, always at the right, your right-hand side, if you're so kind, because we have there with their mobile ready. Great. Yes, there's thumbs up. Great, thumbs up and victory. And one here perhaps at the left-hand side, if that's okay. So they have also a good shot. Excellent, very nice. We know you're smiling, but we're all wearing masks. Excellent, thank you so very much. Great. Okay, so now we'll be in the moment of Q&A for our Madam Vice President and our Minister, because questions are many. 大家的问题有很多。I have received like 5 pages. I know we're all eager to ask a lot of questions to Madam Vice President. So, but our time is limited, okay? So I'm going to read the questions for you in categories, but you're free to ask questions on the ground, okay? You want to be the first, Michael? Yes? Okay, why not? Michael first, yes. We need microphone.
Thank you. First, I have a question to Mr. Foreign Minister Wu. I'm very happy that it nearly seems to me like a revolution that there's a will of change in the European Union concerning Taiwan. And I'm very happy you could visit Brussels, you could visit Prague, you could visit Slovakia. But I'm very unhappy you could still not visit Germany. You know Klaus-Peter Wilsch, the chairman of the German Taipei friendship group of parliamentarians, and he told me concerning the question of an entry in Germany for top politicians from Taiwan, he said the entry of a top politician is announced. This is quite normal. Unfortunately, our federal government has then always made it clear that entry is not desired. The result is a de facto ban. My question is, what is necessary to test whether this de facto ban is still existing? It's on my own thoughts. Perhaps if you get an invitation from an institution like a university or perhaps the Friedrich Naumann Stiftung to take a lecture in Berlin or discussion in the Taipei representative office. Would you like to accept such an invitation? We can wait what our government will do. And concerning this, can you perhaps a little bit explain how it came that you could, for example, visit Prague and visit Slovakia? It must nearly be a similar situation. They could have banned you too, but they didn't ban you. They invite you, I think. Could you perhaps a little bit explain how you came to Slovakia, came to Prague, came to Brussels? Perhaps we can take some parallels.
Thank you. So before the minister, how about we move some translation so we can all understand your great question. Yes, 家豪, thank you.
我们现在看到，在欧盟对台湾的许多的事务上面，其实有诸多的改变。例如说，吴部长呢就成功的造访了布鲁塞尔、还有布拉格、还有斯洛伐克等等，但是就是没有造访过德国。那我也得知消息说，其实德国的联邦政府对于像台湾的高层的官员呢要入境德国，其实是不欢迎、不乐见的。虽然说并没有强制禁止，但是其实这也算是事实上的禁止了。那我们是不是请要吴部长像这样子的一个事实上的禁止令，是否是应该要去测试是否真的存在？例如说，如果德国有什么样的大学或学术机构邀请吴部长去演讲或去进行致辞的话，是不是会被联邦的政府阻挡呢？是否有这个需要去测试一下？再来就是请教吴部长，您是怎么样成功的去造访布拉格、斯洛伐克、布鲁塞尔？为什么没有受到阻止跟禁止
？Thank you very much for this wonderful question, Michael. But I'm not sure whether I have a good answer for it. On the first part, I haven't been able to visit Berlin in the years I'm serving as the Minister of Foreign Affairs. It's not because I don't want to, but because the kind of visit need to be agreed upon mutually. And I think the timing needs to be agreed upon as well. And if the German government would allow me, or if there's an institution in Germany that would invite me to give a speech and etc., I, of course, will be very happy to. But that is an issue that should be discussed in between the two governments. And before there's an answer, I will not be able to tell you when or how I can visit Berlin. And my visit to other capitals, like Brussels or Prague or Bratislava and etc. There are several other capitals that I can go to. It was in the background that many more European countries understand the differences in between democracy and authoritarianism. And for those Central and Eastern European countries who have gone through very harsh authoritarian or communist rules before 1989, and they see the struggle of a democratic Taiwan, and therefore they lend their support for Taiwan. And I think that's a phenomena in Central and Eastern European countries, including the Baltic states, and also the Northern European countries. And we appreciate that very much. And we find natural affinity in between the two sides. We welcome them, and they also welcome us. And of course, the mutual visit by senior officials is just one thing. Another thing is the two sides are very willing to engage with each other on cultural affairs, on economic affairs, and etc. And it provides a very good foundation for mutually beneficial relations, and we'll continue to pursue it. And yes, the visit to Prague, to Bratislava, and other capitals in Europe was wonderful. And it allows the European countries to listen to me directly, to understand more about Taiwan. And by the same token, for them to be able to come to Taiwan, for senior officials from these countries to be able to visit Taiwan is also very good. They are able to meet with senior officials over here and to hear from us what Taiwan is all about. And that lays a very good foundation for Taiwan and Central and Eastern European countries to continue to pursue better relations with each other.
Thank you very much, Foreign Minister. We need translation into Mandarin really quick, and then we invite in Madam Vice President.
我在担任外交部长的期间没有办法造访柏林，并不是我不想去，而是说我们跟柏林那边跟对方政府呢必须要有共识，比如说要怎么样去、何时去，必须要双方的政府需要取得共识。那当然就是说，希望说德国政府跟德国的民间机构是乐意邀请我，但是政府跟政府之间还必须要进一步讨论。至于我去出访布鲁塞尔、布拉格还有布拉提斯拉瓦的背景呢，是说，其实当时在我们知道在欧陆有许多的国家，尤其是中东欧国家，他们其实很了解民主跟独裁的差别，尤其是不少中东欧国家曾经在1989年之前还经历过独裁的统治，还有共产党的统治，他们看到台湾的处境，就纷纷支持台湾。那这样子的支持，当然也包括了波罗的海国家、北欧国家等。我们因此就互相的欢迎，也有高层的互访。 除此之外，我们其实也有非常热络的经济以及文化的交流，这些交流都对我们台湾跟中东欧之间国家的优良的关系呢，都打下非常良好的基础。对我来说，访问欧洲的旅行非常的棒，就是说可以直接让欧洲人呢直接聆听我发言，并且透过我直接了解台湾。那欧洲的高层访问台湾也非常的重要，能够亲自见到台湾的高层，有近距离的互动，这些都是我们台湾跟中东欧的好的关系打下非常好的基础。
Thank you very much. With the permission, Madam Vice President and also our Minister, we proceed with taking the whole questions because there are so many. We divided the questions into different groups. So we had the first group of Taiwan-EU relations, German relations in Taiwan, and prospects of Taiwan-EU relations. Let me read the questions for you. We received Taiwan News, Kevin Chen. Kevin, what are some of the undertakes or observations from Madam Vice President? Do you have after your meetings with Taiwanese government officials? Are you optimistic about Taiwan's future and EU-Taiwan relations? Also, second question, what will be your outlook on EU-Taiwan relations in the near future? Would you think there will be any substantial political breakthroughs in the coming years? Also, we received questions from ARD, German TV, and they're asking also to Madam Vice President, since your party is part of the German government, can they work towards lifting the restriction? And I think we just answered that. The entering restrictions of the Taiwan's highest office holders, the Big Five, to Germany. And that was the same questions to Michael, I think. And also from New Tang Dynasty, 新唐人东旭提问，东旭问，对您的来访是欧洲议会高层第一次正式访台，请问您对后续交流的合作跟期望，相关的展望，或是您具体的建议。Also to Madam Vice President, your visit marks the first official high-level visit to Taiwan by the European Parliament. What are the prospects of future exchanges, mutual visits, or cooperation? Can you share with us some of your recommendations? Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I tried to take them all together, and that it put me this way, the question from German television, that this shows that this visit, that I'm here in my official capacity as one of the vice presidents of European Parliament, was in the right moment. European Parliament just here extended an invitation to our colleagues from the Taiwanese Parliament, and so there will be an on-continuing of visits and of consultation, and I think this is for the right moment. We want, as European Parliament, push further, so it's clear that we also call for the Commission to go further in the consultation they are undertaking. We hope this will lead to a bilateral investment agreement, which then also makes possible to upgrade our office here. And I think this is an important question to strengthen our relationship. To have a win-win situation on both sides, to go deeper in our cooperation in science, innovation, development, but also in trade, in fighting against climate change, so the green transition, but also exchange in the digital transition, especially when it comes to citizens' rights as privacy and data protection, is, I think, an important point, which we should strengthen to make it as a global standard, so that our standards, which are value-based, can be put through informal leadership on the globe.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice President. We need translation for her remarks.
我现在人在台湾，我们这样子的官方访问，以副议长的官方身份来到台湾这是一个非常重要的一个时间点。那当然，我们也是受立法院的邀请代表欧洲议会访问台湾那像这样子的访问会当做一个基础，未来会有持续的更多的访问以及更多的咨询。当然，我们现在有非常多的工作正在进行当中，希望说这些工作最终能够促成台欧之间洽签双边投资协定，并且能够让我们欧盟的驻台代表处呢能够予以升级。希望说透过这些作为，能够有进一步让我们深化台欧关系，创造台欧关系的双赢，那使得说台湾跟欧洲之间能够更多的合作，像是创新啦、科研，还有 当然，我们也希望说能够有更多的贸易，还有一起来打击、来对抗气候变迁等等。所以呢，当然我们也有数位转型很重要的工作，因为现在在新的时代当中呢，我们都讲究公民的权利，同时也必须要保护公民的隐私权，还有保护大家的资料等等。因此呢，我们希望说在资料保护方面呢，能够透过我们的合作，打造一个新的全球标准。
Okay, great, thanks. Okay, next category is very interesting. It's about threats from China, EU policy on Taiwan, and war in Ukraine. Okay, so I received questions from CNA Novia 中央社雅士提问，请问副议长，您抵台的时候提到，欧盟绝对不会坐视中国侵略民主台湾。中国如果对台湾发动军事攻击的话，您认为欧盟应该采取何种行动 ？For Madam Vice President, when you arrived in Taiwan, you stated that there were no room for Chinese aggression in democratic Taiwan. So if China were to launch a military offensive against Taiwan, in your opinion, what actions should the European Union take? Also from Novia, 欧盟新任的驻中国的大使 Jorge Toledo， 他在接受西班牙媒体的时候访问说，欧盟不捍卫台湾的独立，而是支持和平统一，这样的言论引起了争议。请问您对此的评论 ？From CNA Novia, she asked the new EU ambassador to China, Jorge Toledo Albiniana. He made controversial statements such as the EU does not advocate independence for Taiwan, but peaceful reunification with China. In his interview with a Spanish newspaper, I wonder what would be Madam Vice President's view on his remarks. Also for Taiwan News, Kevin asking, what are some of the valuable lessons from the war in Ukraine you think are applicable to Taiwan's situation with China? Also, Kevin's second question, would you say the European Parliament is now more aware and concerned about China's bullying of Taiwan? What are some of the things the Parliament can do to deter China and help Taiwan? Also from Epoch Time, 大纪元心仪提问，心仪在问欧洲议会副议长访台，引发了中国外交部的批评施压，对此请教副议长有何看法 ？For Madam Vice President, in your visit to Taiwan has triggered some criticism and pressure from the Chinese Foreign Ministry. I wonder what would be your take on their response and their anger. From New Tang Dynasty, 东旭提问，请教副议长跟还有部长，欧盟正在建构自己的印太战略，北约也通过了新版的战略概念，正是中共的系统性挑战。美国跟欧盟跟欧洲在能源、通货膨胀、内政等压力之下，持续支持乌克兰抵达侵略。不过有分析意见担心，中共会借这个机会来分化美国跟欧盟之间，还有分化欧盟各国之间，的团结。那另外，西方外交圈最近也出现一些亲中国、中共合作的声音。第一个问题，请教副议长，认为欧盟如何在这一段期间的压力期间，能够还维持欧盟国家之间的一个团结跟政策的路线？另外问题是请教我们吴部长，中共的分化，想要影响这个美国跟欧洲的一个对台政策，请问部长认为台湾要如何因应 ？From New Tang Dynasty 东旭 ，for Madam Vice President Beer and Foreign Minister Wu, the EU is formulating its own Indo-Pacific strategy, and NATO has passed its new strategic concept, which identifies on the systemic challenge that China has posed. The US and Europe, while under the pressure of energy, inflation, and internal political crisis, continue to support Ukraine against invasion. However, some analysts are worried that the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, could seize this opportunity to foster division across US and European countries and among EU member states. In addition, recently have been voices within the diplomatic community in the West that favor China and wishes to further cooperate with China. My question for Madam Vice President, under which pressures, how should the European Union maintain its unity and policy direction? Question for Foreign Minister Joseph Wu. China's divisive tactics aim to influence U.S. and European policies on Taiwan. So how do you think that Taiwan should respond? Thank you. A lot of questions.
Thank you very much. The first is that it's clear for us in Europe that Europe doesn't need a Chinese-speaking points list to speak with Taiwan. We have good relationships already. We want to develop them further, and this is to be strong on both sides as democracies and for the values we share all together. And so I see only that the war in Ukraine made that Europe, the European member states, and also our partners in NATO are united as they were never before. Yes, there was a certain naivety before the war in Ukraine, but this is over. Everybody is aware that obviously other countries, authoritarian regimes, do not respect the international rule of law, that they are working against it, against the peace and against stability around the globe. And so I think it's really important that European member states, that European Union and our Western alliance are really united and stand for these values and protect peace, freedom and stability. And for this reason we are here. For this reason we show this signal, and I think that it's also a sort of deterrence to make clear that we will stand shoulder by shoulder in this question, because we are value-based, and this makes a difference. We have here in Taiwan a clear and vibrant democracy, and the people in Taiwan are standing for their system. As we see it also in Ukraine, where the Ukrainian people are fighting for their freedom, for their sovereignty, and for the way of life. And so I think the most important takeaway from my visit here is that we have friends, that we have a common understanding that the citizens matter, that politics serves citizens, and that the citizens decide about their future, and politics try to give them the best framework possible so that they have the different options to decide about their own future.
Excellent, so inspiring. Thank you so much, and we definitely translated. 嘉豪 Thank you.
我们在欧洲都非常的清楚，我们跟台湾有对话的必要，我们跟台湾有非常良好的关系，也有很好的发展，因为我们有共享的价值，我们有民主。同时，我们看到在乌克兰呢，其实乌克兰的事件发生之后，很多的欧盟的成员国以及我们跟北约的伙伴呢，其实都是空前的团结。的确，在乌俄战争爆发之前，我们有一些旗舰，但是这些旗舰目前我们都过去了。现在我们都认识到，独裁的国家他们并不会去尊重国际的法治，他们只会破坏全球的和平跟稳定。因此，最重要的是，我们欧盟的成员国整个欧盟本身，还有我们的伙伴，还有我们的盟友们，必须团结起来，来捍卫我们的价值，我们捍卫我们的和平、自由以及稳定。这就是为什么我们这一次在这个时间点访问台湾，就是要发出这样子的讯号，并且能够去遏阻许多外界的压力，因为我们跟台湾之间有共享的价值，因此呢，我们其实是团结在一起的。再加上台湾其实有着非常繁荣的民主，台湾的人民也都非常捍卫着自己的政治体系。同时，我们也在看到乌克兰的人民也是积极的在捍卫自己的主权、自由还有生活的方式。所以这次访问台湾最大的收获就是我们认识到我们在台湾有很多朋友。那人民都非常的重要，人民才能决定自己的未来，而政治就是要去服务这些人民，给这些人民相应的工具，能够实现自己所决定的未来。
Thank you very much. I would like to invite Foreign Minister to respond.
中国的策略一向是分而治之，也就是我们所谓的统战的策略。他们不只是对台湾是这样子，对欧洲也是这样子。但是我们看到欧洲团结一致的这个趋势是越来越明显。2019年，欧中战略展望的这个文件首度提到中国是系统性的对手。那最近这一段期间，我们看到 G7 或者是说欧美中国议题高阶对话等国际重要的这个会议里面，也持续表达对台海和平稳定以及中国的胁迫和扩张等都表达关切。那今年6月，北约在马德里举行领袖峰会， 那这个峰会通过了新版的战略概念 （strategic concept）。那也首度将中国对跨大西洋安全所构成的这个系统性挑战纳入了文件，那显示欧盟和北约对中国的这个立场是逐渐的一致。那显然中国的这种分而治之的这个做法是不成功的。那这个也代表跨大西洋理念相近国家对中国看法的这个主流意见。那相信大西洋两岸的这个民主阵营对中国见缝插针、操弄信息、进行认知作战、带风向，想要分化欧洲内部或者是分化欧美的这些做法是了然于胸。对于台湾来说，我们作为印太地区的理念相近成员，会持续和欧洲、美国各个民主伙伴加强我们的这个合作，来共同对抗威权政体带来的混合式威胁，以维护台海和印太地区的和平稳定，以及以规则为基础的国际秩序。谢谢。
Thank you very much. Those are great remarks. 嘉豪 please.
When it comes to Chinese tactics, they always divide and conquer, and they not just do that to Taiwan, but they also do the same to Europe. But we are also seeing that Europe is growing in their unity as well at the same time. The 2019 EU-China Strategic Outlook mentioned China for the first time as a systemic rival. Recent major international events such as the G7 summit and high-level transatlantic dialogues on China-related issues continue to voice concerns over peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait, as well as Chinese threat and expansion. This year's NATO summit in Madrid passed a new strategic concept in June, which characterizes China as a systemic challenge for the transatlantic security body. These show that the attitudes of the EU and NATO towards China align as do mainstream opinions on China among like-minded countries across the Atlantic Ocean. I believe that democracies on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean are very well aware of Chinese intentions to avail themselves of every opportunity to manipulate information, engage in cognitive warfare in order to foster division between the United States and Europe, and in order to turn the Indo-Pacific geopolitical landscape in China's favor. Taiwan is a like-minded member in the Indo-Pacific region and will continue to bolster cooperation with democratic partners in Europe and America. Together, we jointly combat hybrid threats from authoritarian regimes and maintain peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait and in the Indo-Pacific, as well as rules-based international order.
Thank you very much. Let's move to the next category. We still have a lot of questions here. We do next Taiwan's international participation, international organizations, and also economic and trade agreement. Okay, which we have a lot of questions. We have here for a question from Liberty Times from Yishen. And Yishen is asking, 感谢欧洲议会多次敦促欧盟启动跟台湾的 BIA Bilateral Investment Agreement 的谈判前置工作，但是到目前为止进展缓慢，想请教其中的原因为何？而副议长您建议台湾能够从哪一方面来加速推动 ？The question is from Madam Vice President. We are grateful to European Parliament for repeatedly calling on the European Union to lay the groundwork for negotiations with Taiwan on a bilateral investment agreement. However, progress has been slow. I wonder what would be the reasons for this, and what are recommendations, Madam Vice President, do you have for Taiwan to speed up the process? We also received questions from 中央社雅诗 from CNA Novia asking 雅诗提问，尽管欧盟跟许多民主国家都支持台湾的实质参与世界卫生组织等国际组织，但是台湾仍然是因为中国的因素的打压持续遭到排挤。请问您认为台湾应该要如何突破结构性的障碍，来争取更多的国际参与 ？Question from CNA Novia: The European Union and many democratic nations in the world support Taiwan's substantial participation in the WHO and other international organizations, yet Taiwan is nevertheless still excluded due to Chinese political pressure. So questions from Madam Vice President, in your opinion, how should Taiwan surmount these structural obstacles and achieve more international participation? Also questions from New Tang Dynasty 新唐人东旭提问，欧洲议会要推动台欧盟的投资贸易协定已经至少6年了，而比尔副议长也非常的急切。目前欧中全面投资协定已经停摆了，欧洲战略的调整对于台欧盟投资协定，请问您认为台湾能够做些什么？第二，捷克担任欧盟的轮值主席国，请问这是加速推动的有利的时间吗 from New Dynasty TV. And it has been at least 6 years since the European Parliament first called for Taiwan-EU bilateral trade agreement. We know that Madam Vice President is also eager to see this through. Currently, the EU-China Comprehensive Agreement on Investment is on hold, and Europe's strategic thinking is still shifting. So regarding a Taiwan-EU bilateral trade agreement, for Madam Vice President, what more do you think Taiwan can do? And secondly, currently the Czech Republic holds the presidency of the European Council. So would now be a good timing to accelerate such efforts? Thank you.
Can you start? Yes? Okay. Then I start. I think the whole international community could have a profit from the knowledge and the experience made in Taiwan concerning, for example, World Health Organization's Assembly. I think we could be better in fighting pandemics, as we saw it with the COVID-19, when we all together could use the know-how, the data, and the experience from Taiwan. And this makes, for me, also a clear foundation for more participation of Taiwan in international organizations. Maybe it would be a possibility that Taiwan, who is, for example, already in the World Trade Organization, by more activity hires its visibility there, which could be helpful to convince our other partners and the other members of such multilateral organization to accept Taiwan at least on an observatory status in that international organizations. On the other question, which were more dealing with the fact of that European Parliament is calling for a bilateral investment agreement, I think that to know each other better, to exchange views, to look for common occasions in science, in research and development, students exchange also as mutual investments in Taiwan and in European Union member states by respective enterprises is a good ground for the forthcoming of such a negotiation and consultation. Yes, I personally, I am a very impatient person, but I see that in such diplomatic questions, we have to take the progress step by step. European Parliament will be continued to push for a bilateral investment agreement. We see that talks are ongoing. We think that this is on a good way, and maybe a really good sign is that the Speaker of the House of the Parliament of Taiwan is for the moment in Czechia, where Czechia is holding the European presidency for the next half year. I think this is a good sign to continue in this way, and so I'm optimistic that at the end we will get for a good solution on both sides.
Excellent, thank you so much. Translation, 嘉豪。
事实上，国际社会如果能够采用台湾的专业知识的话，其实能够获得很大的利益的。例如说，像是世界卫生大会跟世界卫生组织，我们这次的疫情 COVID-19 疫情就是很好的例子。如果台湾的专业、台湾的资料以及台湾的经验能够分享的话，那防疫一定能够做得更好。这就是我们支持台湾参加国际组织的很重要的基础。那台湾其实已经是世界贸易组织的成员了。那台湾在世界贸易组织如果更活跃、更曝光的话，那就相信就能够说服更多的伙伴，还有更多的多边体系，能够让台湾以观察员的身份加入。那在另外一个问题在讲的是欧洲议会要求推动欧盟投资协定这件事情。那当然我们 一个很重要的基础就是台欧之间彼此有更多的认识，跟我们交流更多彼此的观点，有更多的学术合作，还有更多的学生交换，这些的基础都支持着我们台欧盟之间相关投资协定的许多的谈判啦，还有咨询等等。我自己本身不是一个特别有耐心的人，但是外交的议题呢，还是得一步一步来。那我们欧洲议会还会持续要求要推动台欧盟投资协定的，那相关的讨论都在进行当中，方向也都非常的好。那我相信有一个很棒的一个讯号呢，就是刚好在捷克轮值欧盟主席的时候呢，刘院长刚好官方访问捷克哈，那这是一个非常好的一个迹象。因此我对台欧盟投资协定相关的期程都非常的乐观。
Thank you very much. I'm conscious of time, so last category. It's about EU-China relations, Hong Kong and Lithuania. 我们有收到上报配分的提问。欧盟近日跟中国举行经济贸易对话 HED， 那我们看到了欧盟的贸易总署的署长 Sabine Weyand， 他对于跟中国重新展开合作表达了高度欢迎的态度。欧盟请问是否已经决定对中国以经济手段威胁立陶宛的做法做出了退让？另外，请教欧洲议会对欧盟的态度将如何反应 ？From App Media, from Payfen, she's asking, recently the EU held a high-level economic and trade dialogue with China. We saw Director General for Trade, Sabine Weyand. She expressed a favorable attitude toward restoring trade cooperation with China. Has the European Union, I wonder, decided to give in to China on its economic coercion against Lithuania? And how will the European Parliament respond to European Union's attitude? Also, we receive questions from New Tang Dynasty TV 清唐人东旭提问，请教副议长抵达台湾的时候说，在帮助香港上欧洲迟到了。请教副议长，在中共加强严苛港版的国安法之后，港府还以基本法第23条来制定国安相关法律，强化连结中共的体系，这也将影响欧洲在香港的利益。所以想请教副议长，您认为欧洲在这个议题可以采取什么样的态度跟行动 ？From New Tang Dynasty TV, questions for Madam Vice President. When you arrived in Taiwan, you stated that Europe was late for Hong Kong. So after the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, imposed a strict national security law on Hong Kong, the Hong Kong's government also followed with Article 23 of the Hong Kong Basic Law to create legislation related to national security and to reinforce connection with the CCP, Chinese Communist Party system. This will definitely impact European interests in Hong Kong. So I wonder whether, Madam Vice President, in your opinion, what stance and action can Europe take to address this issue? Thank you.
In regards of the first question, yes, of course, European Union wants to continue to have a good relationship to China, but this doesn't hinder us to speak a clear language towards the respect of other people, towards respect of freedom rights, towards the respect of stability and peace all over the globe. And this doesn't mean that we give in. Also not in the case of Lithuania. This will be cleared up in the WTO organization, where we put in a special claim, and we will see how the WTO is resolving with this question. So we use the international rule-based system just because it's made for such cases. And of course, European Parliament will foster this attitude of European Union, because for us, Parliament and also the other institution, it's clear that we can stand by the side of Taiwan, and that it's clear that the Taiwanese people have to decide on their own future. So we are going against any attempt to change the status quo unilaterally. This is not in the wish of the European Union. And yes, the case of Hong Kong, I think, showed very clearly that Europe was too late, was also too naive to think that the promise to respect a special system in Hong Kong on the base of democracy would be also fulfilled. It was not fulfilled, and so we have to take our lesson not to be naive in the case of Taiwan. And this is the reason why we make it clear that we stand for the freedom and for the democracy in Taiwan. And this is also one of the reasons that European Parliament is very outspoken on this topic, and that one of their vice presidents is here today, just to give the sign that we counter any attempt to change this situation unilaterally.
Thank you so very much. Definitely translation for these important remarks.
第一题哈，当然我们知道欧盟他们也希望说能够保持跟中国有良好的关系，但同时我们也有权利去清楚地表达我们对其他人民的尊重，对于其他人的权利、其他国家的权利的尊重，还有对规则的尊重。所以呢，我们并不能说我们会像比如说中国胁迫立陶宛的做法做出退让哦。事实上，我们还是持续的在世界贸易组织提出相关的申诉，我们正在等世界贸易组织的裁决。然后我们也希望也相信说，目前我们这个体系呢，还是一个以规则为基础的体系。那就欧洲议会的事情来看哦，就是说我们当然跟欧盟之间，我们也都是非常清楚的，就是说我们很支持着台湾，我们也认为台湾的未来必须台湾的人民自己决定，我们也反对呢，就是任何的国家片面的去改变台海的现状，因为这样子的改变呢，并不符合我们欧洲的期待，欧盟的期待。香港的议题上面呢，事实上我也说过，我们欧洲在帮助香港上迟到了。事实上，我们欧洲也十分的天真哦。我们认为说，北京他们会信守对香港的承诺，会给予香港人民自由。但是我们都知道，这样子承诺被撕毁了。因此，我们必须记起教训，我们不能够随意的认为说，中国对于台湾的事务的任何承诺，他们也会信守。我们必须持续的支持台湾的民主。那事实上，我们欧洲议会其实也是很高调的，也是向外界发出讯号说，我们的其中一位副议长就人就在台湾。那这是一个讯号，支持的台湾也能够嚇阻中国对台海现状的改变。
Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm conscious of time. If there's no additional questions on the ground, 确定现场媒体没有其他的提问的话 so we want to thank, for the historical visit of Madam Vice President Beer in her official capacity to Taiwan, and that we're deeply inspired, by words, by your determination. We're so grateful for your visit and your delegation. And also thank you very much to our foreign minister. He's so busy and, spending so much time with us. Really, thank you very much, sir. And also thanks to each one of the journalists here. Thank you for your presence in making this possible. So we'll see you next time. And so please join me in thanking the Vice President. 我们大家一起谢谢我们的副议长，还谢谢我们的外交部长，谢谢他们。